One of the issues found in the worksheets was that the section title, section 1.1 in this case, was presented as a title, but it was up in the heading, in the header, and so when it was converted to ePub, it just disappeared. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out of the header, come out of the header, and I'm just going to put it as the overall title of the actual document. And the blue line that comes with it, that's fine. That's just decorative. It won't be read by the screen reader. I'm going to delete any extra spaces I see, but if I wanted more space, instead of putting a bunch of returns, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to paragraph, and on the don't add space between paragraphs of the same style, that usually helps, especially for a bulleted object. If I hit OK, if it doesn't do anything immediately, it usually does it for a bulleted list. Then I can say before. So that would, notice at the preview down here, it showed the change that it made. Oops, I went right back to the original. Let's do the before, change it. And then it jumped the objectives down without putting a space. So that was the before font. Okay, the heading, it would be okay to leave it as a heading 1. Again, you could change the headings. I don't think they're great with heading 1 and then skipping to heading 3. That doesn't really make a lot of sense. I'm not going to focus on that in this video. If you want to change this to heading 2, that's something I would actually recommend doing. But the other thing I want to just get rid of is any extra spacing. Get rid of that spacing. It actually didn't matter. In this case, I'm not even going to change the paragraph. Now, the other issue was this long underline was read as underline, underline, underline over and over and over again. And one of the ways you could see that is if you right arrow, it's just a bunch of underline spacing. Now, this blank underline has several issues because some screen readers actually will not read the underlines. And so the blank, it would just read as terminology is the study of procedures for collecting, and it would just skip over. And so in the case where I say, okay, let's take out all the extra underlines, and what you can do is if you click up on the ruler bar up top on Word, it creates a left tab. And then if I have the underline checked and hit tab, it now creates a nice, beautiful underline. Now this won't be read, however, by the screen reader. It will just jump. And same with if I took this multiple underline that's here and I converted it just to, by creating that left margin, a single nice long line. In this case, it's going to read A is the entire collection of individuals. So when a sighted student is reading this, they're thinking blank is the study of procedures for collecting, describing, etc. And the second line would be A blank is the entire collection of individuals. So if we consider what our purpose here is, that say for a sighted student, they print this out and they fill it in. That could be one of the cases. Are they turning in the actual worksheet back to you as a completed worksheet? If it's something where they don't have to fill it in, the problem I'm seeing here is this has no numbering system. So if this is for notes, that's fine. If it's not for notes and they have to turn it in, you'd want to put a numbering system on here so that way all they have to do is complete the word on a separate binder paper instead of wasting all the paper. So think first of your purpose here. Now for a student that has a screen reader and is doing everything online, if they can access this Word document, we want them to be able to read it and know that they're supposed to be filling this in at this part, whether they're taking it for notes or they're going to be turning it in later. So if they're taking this, let's say it's for notes, and we want them to know it's a blank here, there's a couple ways you can deal with this, and they do this with the blanks and tables as well. Since what we want read, like we're thinking the students are thinking blank in their head, I can actually put the word blank in parentheses. Now for a sighted student looking at this, if they were to print it out and then write in, that's going to mess up their notes. So another way around that is to make that a white font and or whatever the color is of the background, and then now that blends right in. Yes, it will look like there's an awkward spacing. I honestly have been looking up, other than some complicated fill in and creating actual tables and all of this other stuff, the least complicated way I've come up with is to just put that white font of blank there so the reader will actually read blank is the study of procedures and going on. And then also your sighted students, if they print this, they still have the underline there for filling in. And when it's in the middle of a sentence like this, there is some formatting issues because when you go to put in blank, it's going to want to be at the beginning. And then we put in that white font. So it does look a little awkward, and if I come up with a better way, I will definitely update this video. But this is what I consider something both sighted and visually impaired students could now actually access this document. The issue herein lies with the ePub. If you were to convert this to ePub, these fields are not fillable. So this is something, if you want them to be able to access and complete it online other than a Word document, you're going to have to create this and edit it as maybe a Canvas web page or a web document. And that would create some additional work on your end, but this will not transfer as a fillable field as an ePub, and or there's possibly the way to do it as a PDF. So this would be where, is the student okay with Word, or do they need things digitally as a web page? And then you would have to actually make these fields that they can actually type in. So that's taken care of, the talking about the title, pulling it out of the header, some of the spacing issues, and then what we can do about all these blank lines that are everywhere where they're filling the blanks for the students. In the next video, we'll talk about the other accessibility issues.